going YouTube, man? It's boy J Smalls. I'm coming at y'all boys with another video, man. And today we're reacting to the scary truth about Lamar Jackson nobody wants to admit. Now, I was debating if I should react to this, John, because this came out around July last year. So I was like, I don't know, but I just want to see what my guy talking about. Now, y'all got to keep in mind, he didn't have the crazy season that he had this past year in this video. All right, so just remember that. So you got to amplify like ×5 everything this guy's saying. But if you guys 2 minutes clicking on this video, I truly do appreciate you for watching. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you're having a fantastic and blessed day. But with all that being said, without further ado, shout out to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, allowing me to be here, allowing y'all to be here, and just everything he has done for us truly. But with all that being said, without further ado, man, give it up.
Lamar
so you got to amplify everything more.
Let
me turn it down.
Dual threat quarterback the NFL has ever seen. But that statement is something that he had to fight for his whole life. From growing up in poverty to being disrespected everywhere he went to that moment when he was 8 years young that changed him forever. Lamar climbed from the absolute bottom to a sprint to the title of the best dual threat quarterback ever. Let's find out the scary truth that caused the 2-time MVP to become a nightmare for his critics. Lamar Demetrius Jackson Jr. was born on January 7th, 1997 in Pompeo Beach, Florida, to Felicia Jones.
Yeah, real deal, Florida boy. Senior. Best quarterback, hold on, best quarterback in the NFL, by the way. And my bad, if y'all see me over here trying to do this, I'm trying to make sure it's not too loud for y'all. But best quarterback, best dude third quarterback of all time. Let's get that out the way. You feel what I'm saying?
Incredibly poor section of Florida, Lamar found football as a way to deal with the economic stress his family faced on a daily basis. He got into the game by playing in the backyard with his dad and his 3 siblings, and when it was time to sign up for Pee Wee football, Lamar would light it up as he won MVP every single year, but then tragedy struck. His dad would suddenly pass away from a heart attack when Lamar was just 8 years old, and to make matters worse, his grandma would pass away on the same day. This would leave Lamar and his sibling.
Oh no, I'll be devastated. Now, to be fair, I've never really had the the grandma I probably would talk to the most. She passed before I was even born, so I never really had the grandma experience. So I can't say like, you know what I'm saying, like grandma, but I know grandmas be crucial, bro. Obviously, it's any family member is crucial, anybody you know, but grandmas, bro, I know I'll be hurt, bro. You know what I'm saying? Even though I never really, I wish I did, but that's the point. Grandma and dad on the same day, bro, that's scarring for people. You know what I'm saying? Some people might turn into something completely different than who they are. Shout out to Lamar Jackson, though, man.
Raised by their mom, who did everything she could to make sure that they had food on the table and clothes on their back. While she was doing this, she was also heavily involved in her kids' athletic endeavors, on that grind, and she constantly pushed Lamar to be better. Lamar would later tell the Players Tribune, saying, quote, "When I was young, the best coach I've ever had was my first one, Mom. And I'm not saying that just because she looked out for me and encouraged me to pursue football and all that stuff. She actually made me grind to get better. And when he got to high school, Lamar would light up the gridiron with his ability to throw and run the ball as a quarterback.
That's my quarterback right there, man.
His ability to make defenders miss and throw bombs over the tops of defenses would make him a social media sensation, including this viral clip of him scrambling in the pocket and hitting a filthy back juke as he walks into the end zone. Every Power 5 scout was watching Lamar as he threw for 2,263 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, and put up 100
game-like stats, bro. This man had 22 rushing touchdowns, 1,600 rush yards, and then go to passing, 31 touchdowns, 2,200 passing yards with 102.7 quarterback rating. Yo. My brother Lamar Jackson was playing in Road to Glory IRL. Same with Derrick Henry too. Boy, Derrick Henry has some of the craziest high school stats I've ever seen, I think, to date in my life. Those are, I'm like, kind of OC. No, they are OC. These brothers, I wonder is that how it feels, bro, whenever you're this good in high school, bro? You just playing Road to Glory on easy mode? Everybody just athletically cannot mess with you, or they just don't, their skill set is just so far below. Like, dang, I know that job be fun, bro. I wonder if they ever think, I'm pretty sure they do, like, dang, I wish I could just go back to high school, put on rookie, and just go crazy. And not worry, but they could do whatever they want.
0.7
They can do that now.
decorating while also rushing for 1,624 yards and 22 touchdowns in
Bro
his last
was
two
the
high school
ultimate
seasons.
dual threat
But
quarterback.
despite this, Lamar would only be a 3-star prospect coming out of high school, since a lot of college scouts believed that his passing ability wouldn't be able to transfer to the next level. In fact, a lot of schools wanted him to switch positions to wide receiver.
Hey, I love Clemson. Hey, don't ever. Oh, sorry, table. Disrespect Lamar Jackson like that. Trying to make him switch back from quarterback. Now, who do we have at the time? Did we have Trevor Lawrence? You might have had Trevor Lawrence. I would have taken Lamar Jackson over Trevor Lawrence. I love T. Lawrence, bro. Dude, he was so nice. Oh my gosh, Trevor Lawrence was so nice. But don't ever disrespect Lamar Jackson like that ever again. Come on now. Florida State, and that's why he bombed y'all too whenever he played.
Back due to his acceleration and speed. However, there was one school that wanted him to be a quarterback, and that was Louisville. When he got to college, Lamar was out to prove to the world that he was meant to play quarterback, and during his freshman season, he would get a chance to. He would start in 8 of the Cardinals' 12 games, and he threw for 1,840 yards, 12 touchdowns, while running for 960 yards and 11 touchdowns.
I ain't gonna lie, some good stats,
it's rare
bro.
for a 3-star quarterback to start his freshman year at a Power 5 school, but Jackson took the opportunity and made the most of it. Going into his sophomore year, all eyes were on him to see what he could do in his first full season. And well, once again, Jackson became a social media sensation when he
I'm thinking this was, I don't know what I was thinking. I looked up, I see first half. 6 touchdowns in the first half? Bro, I'll be trying my butt off to do that in Road to Glory. I mean, doing that in Road to Glory. 264 quarterback rating, two rushing touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns in the first half? Wait, hold on. He had 8 touchdowns in the first half? No, I gotta be reading. Those rushing touchdowns going to the passing sides, because there's no way that's real.
First half
ATDs in the first half, that is just,
Jackson would go on a tear, throwing for 3,543 passing yards and 30 touchdowns.
He almost had, 1,500 rushing yards. Dude.
1,571 yards and getting 21 rushing touchdowns his sophomore year. If you do the math, that's over 5,000 total yards and 50 touchdowns.
Absurd,
and
bro.
with the incredible numbers, Lamar took home the Heisman, the most prestigious award in college football. Jackson had shown those college scouts that his passing abilities did in fact transfer to the next level. And with this junior year,
I wish he made this like after this season, bro, or somebody does.
On him,
somebody made a video about Lamar because boy,
Lamar was prepared for it. He threw for 3,660 yards, ran for 1,601 yards.
So his stats just got better all across the board. Get OC
He was named the men's ACC Player of the Year across all sports. Despite the 2 legendary college seasons, Lamar couldn't escape the narrative that his passing abilities wouldn't be able to develop, and he wouldn't turn out to be anything more than a gadget player at the next level. After
Are we serious, bro?
junior year, Lamar figured that he had already achieved all that he could achieve in college and decided to declare for the NFL draft.
Quite
and he
frankly,
ended up being requested by NFL scouts to try out with the receivers and not the quarterback. Nobody in the NFL believed that he could become a pocket passer, and that's why he fell on draft day. And while Lamar was
I'm glad because he came to the Ravens.
His mom was with him through the entire thing, but eventually the Ravens would give him a call. Just like Louisville, Baltimore saw something in Lamar and decided to trade up for him and selected him with the 32nd pick in the 2018 NFL draft. With an aging Joe Flacco, the Ravens saw Jackson as a project to develop behind Flacco to eventually step into the starting role a few years down the line when he was ready. Except that time would come a lot sooner as Joe Flacco got hurt in week 10 versus Pittsburgh. The Cincinnati Bengals were up next for the Ravens, and their fans didn't think that Jackson would be able to win the game for them since he only had 11 weeks to get his feet wet in the NFL. But with the confidence his mom installed in him, Lamar won the game and
pretty
threw
smooth,
for
150 yards
and ran for
pretty smooth.
more. He would then never look
not the
back
best.
as he proceeded to get 6 more wins in the Ravens' final 7 games, and despite only playing in 7 games, he led the league in quarterback rushing with 653 yards. The Ravens were 10-6 and secured themselves a playoff matchup with the Chargers in the wild card round. At just 21 years old, Jackson became the youngest player ever to start a playoff game, but Unfortunately, he would end up losing the game, and the critics of Lamar question if he could win when it matters. Now, with the full offseason for the Ravens to design their system around Lamar, Jackson would go out with something to prove. And
still, people gonna criticize it. He won a ring next year, though. Believe that. Believe that. Remember.
One versus the Dolphins, he became the youngest player ever.
Dang, 324, 5 touchdowns, 6. Nice.
And 5 touchdowns. The history.
Watch Lamar, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that's one thing. For all the haters out there, watch Lamar Jackson, bro. When it comes to football and you watching a quarterback, it don't get no better than watching Lamar Jackson. As a Ravens fan, bro, this is not even me being biased. I came to the conclusion, even though Cam Newton is probably my second favorite player ever in football, because Lamar Jackson first. This is no glaze. I'm just keeping it real. He was super entertaining. Obviously, there's some other football players that are entertaining. Lamar Jackson has to be the most entertaining football player ever, bro. Ever in NFL history. Who you getting like Lamar Jackson that can throw 400 yards in a game, not throw picks, and then yet on the flip side, he is the best dual threat quarterback in NFL history, my brother. If he runs, he's gone. He's frying you. He's faster than you. He's faster than probably he is. He's faster than most skill position players in the NFL, for sure. Most likely. No, actually, no, for sure. He can do everything, bro. He is legit amplified version of Michael Vick. Like he's like a ×2, ×3 Mike Vick, bro. Maybe even more than that. Is that Glaze? I don't know. Now, for the people trying to say he's not the best dual threat quarterback of all time, you're insane. Watch Lamar Jackson, bro. I don't care if you try to say he can't win a ring, whatever. He's about to win a ring next year, so it don't matter about that. I don't care if you're trying to say all that. Nobody cannot say he's the most electric, entertaining player in NFL history, baby. Straight like that.
Became the first player in league history throw for 250 yards and run for 120
bro.
yards.
He looks like
week 2 versus
he runs like he's a running back, but he's a great quarterback. Like, come on, bro.
He was unstoppable.
Who's beating that?
Lamar
Nobody.
led the Ravens to a 14-2 record, finished with 3,000 passing yards, 1,000 rushing yards, and scored a combined 43 touchdowns. And he also led the league in touchdown passes and quarterback rating, and broke the NFL record for most rushing yards by quarterback. The Ravens were the Goliath heading into a playoff matchup against the Tennessee Titans, and Lamar balled out as he threw for 365 passing yards and ran for 143 more, and became the first player to throw for 300 and rush for 100 in a playoff game. Sadly, the Ravens would fall short, and the Titans secured the massive upset, and the critics continued to lay the playoff choker label on Jackson. After the season, Lamar became the second player ever to unanimously win the MVP and the second youngest player to ever win the award. Now going into year 3, everyone expected Lamar to shut up the critics and to have even a better year than his sophomore MVP season, but these were unreasonable goals since NFL teams now had a full season's worth of film on Lamar, and they were able to game plan around him to try to stop his talent. His numbers dropped a bit as he threw for 2,757 yards and ran for 1,005 more and scored 33 combined touchdowns, and he led the Ravens to 11-5.
Didn't he get hurt this season?
Or no? Lamar would the first quarterback to have multiple 1,000-yard rushing seasons in just his first 2 years as a starter. The Ravens had opportunity for revenge in the playoffs as they had a date with the Tennessee Titans.
And they won. I remember. I watched this game from the pregame to the postgame, baby. I remember this game.
And a win. And Lamar would.
I remember that run too, right there, and that pick too.
And it seemed like this would be the year that Jackson would get over the hump and win a championship. And then disaster struck. Lamar would exit the divisional playoff versus the Bills with a concussion, and the Ravens would suffer a brutal end to their season, the 17-3 defeat. The injury woes would continue to haunt Jackson going into his 4th season, and he was on track to win another MVP with 3,643 total yards.
We would have for sure beat the Bengals in our playoffs games if we have Lamar Jackson. No doubt, 100%. It's not even close.
Before he would be knocked out with an ankle injury in week 12, and once again in year 5, an injury would end Lamar's season short as he had 3,028 yards and 20 touchdowns in the first 11 games.
Lamar did not get hurt next season.
Getting knocked out in the game in week Week 12 versus the Broncos with a knee injury. The Ravens would eventually lose to the Bengals in the wild card round without Lamar Jackson, and the critics had plenty of ammunition to question Jackson's legitimacy as a long-term starter. But Baltimore saw through all of these questions as they signed Lamar to a long-term extension, and going into year 6.
If the Ravens did not sign Lamar Jackson to that extension, I might have to say I'm not a Ravens fan. Bro, when I was seeing how it was up for discussion if he comes back, like it was questionable, boy. I would not know what I would have did if I seen Lamar Jackson in another team's jersey.
Jackson would prove that the Ravens made the right decision. He would end up throwing for 3,678 yards, rushing for 821 more,
we should have beat
scoring
the
29 touchdowns, and leading the Ravens to a 13-3 record. After
it was almost like
Houston Texans in the divisional round, a game in which Jackson had 252 combined yards and 4 combined touchdowns, Lamar would make his first AFC title game appearance, and he started the game flying and kept the Ravens in it versus the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Chiefs defense would prove too much, and Patrick Mahomes would make another Super Bowl. Then after the season,
even though we're both light, I'm tired of that light white, bro. And sometimes the NFL be glazing too, bro. They be glazing the Chiefs, bro. We all know that.
NFL MVP for the second time in controversial fashion, as the NFL analyst said that he didn't deserve it since he couldn't win in the playoffs and he had mediocre regular season numbers. But if there's one thing Lamar has been consistently good at,
and he should have did this video after this year, bro. Boy, oh boy.
Wrong when people are counting him out, and that's incredibly scary for the rest of the league. You know what's also scary? Missing an upload. So go ahead and subscribe. He's already 4th on the all-time.
I might subscribe.
And in just 5 seasons as a full. Lamar is terrifying to game plan for, and in just 5 seasons as a full-time starter, he's already 4th on the all-time quarterback.
And he surpassed this too. Like, oh my God, he surpassed this too.
Become the greatest rushing quarterback of all time, and to surpass Michael Vick.
With my man.
Already beating Vick in
and all his stats bumped up.
Passing yards per game, quarterback rating, and he has twice the All-Pro nominations and MVPs than Vick does, and he deserves to be in the conversation for the greatest dual-threat quarterback.
Just no glaze, by the way, bro.
And he'll take that title away from Vick if he puts up another MVP season in year number 7. It's not
best season ever from a dual threat quarterback ever. One of the best quarterback seasons ever in league history.
Cam Newton, who even went on to say that Lamar is the greatest.
Shout out Cam Newton, baby.
And the numbers.
Cam Newton was built different too. We all know that.
As Lamar would need just 400 rushing yards this season to pass Newton's career mark. Just like Cam recently said, the scary truth about Lamar Jackson is that his greatness is inevitable, and he deserves to be respected as a generational talent just like Mahomes is, because when you come from nothing, there's no limit on what you can do. Speaking of coming from nothing, one man who came from a grocery store but rose to the top of the NFL mountain is Kurt Warner.
W advertisement for the next video. But if you did stay this long to the end of the video, I truly do appreciate you for watching. So y'all boys, let me know what y'all want me to react to. What y'all think about everything I said, what this guy said. Y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know. Hopefully you can have a blessed day in Jesus' name. With all that being said, without further ado, what is young boys and the next man? Yeah. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Dang it! Try it again. All right. Yeah.